Hello,
All
welcome.
right. Hey, hi. How you doing?
I'm excited because it's going to be an awesome event. We are live streaming on Facebook and YouTube,
All right.
and we are also live streaming in a minute on Instagram.
You go. Right.
And so people are excited about what you have to say
All right.
and your education and your experience. And so we are excited to be here with you today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. It's a complete honor and privilege to be able to share 32 years of experience with you and all your community for sure. Absolutely.
Awesome. So we the thing about how I like this is my second day. So I did remember I was telling you we spoke with a wonderful young man yesterday about IULs, and it was coincidence that
Yeah.
you said yes, and so I couldn't wait to get to today because we wanted so much to hear about, trusts are such a aloof wealth management
Yeah.
conversation.
Right.
It's like if you don't have an attorney that you're going to be able to pay 100 grand, and attorneys I've priced over the years are, oh, that's what you want, 10K, 15K, 30K.
Yeah.
The
Right.
numbers are all over the board.
That's it right there. That's actually how I got started as a paralegal. I was working with an attorney
Um,
back in 1991 or 92. We had a
oh,
widow there, and all she had was a car and a house. He wanted to charge her $5,000. And I looked at him and was like, can't you give her a deal? She didn't have any money, but she needed a trust because she had the house. He said, no. I said, bye. And that's what inspired my business, because my goal was to break the market and make it easy for the average person to get a living trust.
good.
Everybody needs a living trust.
Right.
It's not just that end of the life document, right? It's got the
Mhm.
powers of attorney for financial and health while we're still alive. And it's not a brag. It's just I was one of the first people that wasn't an attorney back in the 90s to talk about what's the difference between a will and a trust.
Now, when
And
you say back in the 90s, I feel older.
you what?
I feel older.
Well, were you born at that time? I don't know.
I was born in 74.
Oh, you could have fooled me. I'm telling you. Right. But that's three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Three
it's like
decades.
back in the 90s, like that was a long time ago every time we think about it. So that's awesome. What an awesome story. What state were you in when all this happened?
California, of all
Mm,
places, right? And I had, all the eyes on me because I was breaking the attorney's business, but the way that, and I just completely feel like it was a blessing because I was a position, I was just educating, wasn't giving any legal advice.
right.
And back in that time, I wanted to break the market. And this is, 32 years ago.
Yeah.
I gave a $5,000 trust for $199.
You
And
did.
man, they were so mad at me. I
Oh,
was having like 5 to 7 people in my office every week. It
definitely.
was insane.
Definitely.
And
I wish I
literally,
met you. I didn't meet you.
where were you? And
Where was I? Because I actually in the 90s was. I lived in LA and San Diego.
Okay.
And actually, the first time I thought about setting up a trust was in San Diego.
Hmm.
And it was 90, somewhere between 96 and 2000. And it was like I said, it was just so aloof. It was so like, I went to some guy's office and, it was just really confusing. And I kind of didn't do it at that time.
Right. And they make it confusing on purpose. And you want to make sure, you know, we do trusts all over the country except Louisiana because they're under French law. But we've made over 6,000 revocable living trusts in the last 32 years and never had, thank God, one problem. They work, and that's what's so beautiful. And they are not just an end of the life document. What people don't realize is have guardianship in them. So if mom and dad go out to dinner and don't come back, who's going to take care of the kids? We don't think about that. Well, look, when you're 30, you don't even think you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to 50, it's hard to imagine what 60, and each age has a certain set of things that you need to wrap around so you have a, healthy money for a happy life.
That's right.
It's just the way that it goes, right?
Healthy money for happy life. Tell me, we're going to get deeper into, and tell me, how long do we have you today? Is it 30 minutes or an hour? Because we really
I can go an hour. Yeah, I have to a hard stop at 4. So that's
fine. That's fine. So now I have some questions that I think most of the audience are going to want to know, that are just, my background, and most of the audience are real estate investors.
Okay.
So I have several single family, I have several 2 to 4 family, I have condos. And lately, I am now jumping into large multifamily apartment complexes. So let's talk about how, what type of trust is great for this type of asset protection.
We use revocable living trusts. So the revocable means you can change it anytime. And unless if your estate is over 11 million, 11.25, that's what we're allowed right now. That's the, for estate tax, because there's certain kinds of trusts when you have larger estates, you want to protect from estate tax. But I'll tell you what, they're going to change that law too down the road, right? Because they need money. But essentially what the majority of the people in the United States can use is a revocable living trust. And the good package will be, like ours is a binder full of documents that includes a power of attorney for financial. And if you're married, you each get one, right?
Okay.
And it acts like a prenuptial agreement. So say you were married before and you have a trust, right. That's like a sealed deal. And all those assets go to that family. If you get married again, then you create a new trust. You don't put it, if you want to keep it separate.
Right.
But they do act like a prenuptial agreement. And if you don't put the other spouse on there as, in control.
That's smart, because then you don't have to use that horrible word prenup, and you say, let's both establish trust going into the marriage.
It's solid. It's solid. It's not that I'm so smart. I've just done this for thousands of times.
My goodness.
Every family, my goodness, I could write some crazy stories on what people go through. Like, husband and wife come in and second marriage, and the husband forgot to take the first wife off the policy, an insurance policy, or his IRA, right? It's crazy. And it's no judgment, because you go to school, you learn how to make money, you get out of school, what do? Go make money and give it to somebody else to gamble. And it's like, and this is what I saw in 30 years. This is like a roulette wheel. I don't like this experience. Will it be up or down when I retire? That is not the way to plan healthy money. Doesn't give you any peace of mind at all. Right. So the trust should include, the revocable living trust. It has conservatorship. If you become incapacitated, then you want someone there that can help you while you recover. It has guardianship for the minor children. If mom and dad don't come back to dinner in these days, these crazy days, you need these things. You don't wait till you're 90 years old to do this. You do it now, because it's not an age thing anymore. Last decade.
So many things happen. I mean, divorces are so common.
Common.
I mean, anything can happen at any given time. I mean, we just had that big scare a couple of years ago. So we don't know, none of us are guaranteed to live to 100 years old, or to 65 when you decide to start thinking about planning.
Exactly.
So I completely
agree with you. Get it.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've got the revocable trust, and in all 50 states, from my research, I know that trusts are actually, some trusts don't work in every state. So one of the questions that I had was, that revocable trust that you just described, that's available in every state. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. That's the
Mhm.
trust that we use. And like I said, we've made thousands and never had a problem. But it's a binder full of documents, not just a trust. It has a power of attorney for financial, a power of attorney for healthcare. And those are so important. You want your power of attorney for healthcare. Look what just went through. You want your family by your side, not just the doctor, right?
Yes.
Right. And so it's
Now, with that
empowering.
power of attorney, remember when they told people they couldn't come into the hospital room?
Yes.
That have overrode that?
Well, every state had its own little nuances, and every hospital, everybody did everything with their own little attitudes and
Right.
political biases and
Yes.
where their come from was. So
Yes.
it's really good that you do that and you give it to your doctor ahead of time, because if something happens, it's in your file and your family's not running around like, what do we do? So if you get all this set up ahead of time, it gives you what I call peace of mind, or an estate of mind.
Oh,
when
wow.
all your affairs are in order.
Nice.
And
Now,
then
I'm
okay.
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just giving you all the stuff that's in
Yes,
the
please.
trust. A pour over will. So a pour over will is like a catch-all, covers all your jewelry, furnishings, and automobiles, and it includes it in the trust. Okay. So that's really important to have. And then we have a living will. Now, a living will is if two doctors say you're terminal, it authorizes any artificial life support. I probably take 4 doctors, but that allows you to unhook from a machine when God calls you home, right? And then that's that living will. And so the good trust has all of these documents that are going to help you through all your phases of life. At the end of the book, our trust has an after death checklist. So when they get the book full of the goodies in there, what do we do? And there's a little checklist of what you should do, and special notes you can leave for your family. So it's a very, very empowering thing. And then it puts you into the process of looking at what you have, where it is, making sure your money is safe. And that's my big thing of how to thrive in a recession, right? How to prosper during these times. Because these next few years no joke. This is going to be some bumpy times for a lot of folks.
Yes. So how does a trust preserve wealth? I heard everything about the wills. How does it exactly preserve wealth? How's it preservation? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So a living trust is a legal document that's created to own and manage your estate. And the language allows you to literally, it doesn't go to court. You don't need probate. You don't need attorneys. You don't need to pay all that money, 25% of it, for an attorney to take your estate through court. If you have somebody that contests your estate, you might get 1/3 of the estate after paying all the attorney fees. It's a living nightmare. So it avoids probate, avoids conservatorship, avoids court costs and attorney fees. Depending on your state, the cost can save you at least 5 to 25% in court cost fees. Then we have taxes, and different kinds of estates. It can help you with those kinds of things too.
Wow. So let's talk to the specific thing about real estate from a business point of view. Is it the same? I read something somewhere about an asset protection trust for New Jersey. That was a trust that I was looking at. It's not every single trust is not available in every single state, like I said again. But you have you talked about your revocable trust. And is that a family trust, or is that is that for your individual? So, there's just so many different types. I want to kind of drill down into the different types of trust, because many times, when you do a YouTube search, you'll hear about the standard, and the standard is, well, you have a revocable and a living trust. But there's also, trusts that can be stacked on top of each other so that you're not sued by creditors, so that you're protecting yourself and your insurance and so on. So is it possible for us to get a little deeper
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So the revocable living trust has a lot of names. It's called family trust, it's called love trust, there's a lot of names for this. It isn't, one of the things in the money world is, I'm sure they make things way more complicated. So you need to go hire a professional to get you through, manage through it. But once you learn about it, it is kind of simple. Now, I'm not saying your estate is simple and you have, lots of real estate and complicated things. A lot of, I had a client, he had $44 million in real estate and he didn't have a living trust. And he only had a couple $100,000 out as cash.
Mm-hmm.
He was set for, a disaster. He didn't even know about it. And so, how some people do it is they have an LLC or a family limited partnership to protect from lawsuits. Some states have trusts that protect from that. The actual trust is still on the law books that will protect you from a lawsuit. I wouldn't rely on that. I would use, if I had a lot of investments in real estate, I would use what I did use when I had some rental was a family limited partnership. And then I had my trust own that. So the trust owns the partnership, and the partnership is the legal language that protects from lawsuits. So, but it isn't a one size fits all. Every family has a different, and what your assets are, especially, and what state you're in.
Right. Now, how can a business utilize this kind of contract to protect itself? Is that a possibility?
Oh, yeah, it's very common. We've done a lot of, it's a family trust that has a business. So the business is a note that says this trust owns that business.
Okay.
Right. And then you can stipulate inside of the trust that, how the succession plan, how you want that to have that happen. And then inside of that, we create key man insurance. So if something happens to the guy that's in charge, you've got that all set up. So you have your whole succession plan set up. And, I have a team of experts. So if I'm not smart on a certain state, which I'm not, we make trusts for every state. But if you have a complicated, then we have partners all over the country that can help with different issues, because everybody's got a different angle and a different amount of assets and setups with their assets.
My goodness, that's amazing. Let's ask the audience, does anyone have a question? Does anyone have a question to ask Kris today? I see a few of you guys here. Does anyone have a question? I know that we are also on Facebook. So if you have a question, just go ahead and drop it in the comments, Instagram. And on Facebook, just go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'm going to be able to see your questions because I know you guys are probably thinking, ask her this, ask her this.
Right.
And so,
my brain, I've done this for 3 decades.
yes. So let's see, is anyone asking a question? I don't see, let's see. And then where do I see? I'm trying something new. So I have a system here that's streaming to more than one platform. I'm testing out a few of these.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to make sure it allows me to see all of the questions on one platform.
Oh, that's great.
I know. So I am trying that out. Okay, so I don't see it here. All right, so I don't see any questions yet. And if you guys are on Facebook and you have questions, just go ahead and come onto the Zoom because I did post the Zoom link. So, all right, next thing is, okay, so the business, you mentioned some really key things there, especially the key man insurance.
Oh, yeah.
That's something. Now, tell me a little bit about your credentials, because I've heard that you were a paralegal. You started 30 years ago. You put the attorneys out of business.
Right.
Now, what are your credentials?
am
I know
I?
you've
Who
been
are
doing
you?
this.
Okay.
I know you're a best-selling author. I'm so honored and grateful and appreciative to have you with us today. Tell
Oh,
us a little bit about your book,
thank
where
you.
they can pick it up.
Okay.
And
All right.
yeah,
So as far as the credentials go, what happened is after, being a paralegal, the definition was you worked under an attorney. And
yes.
at the time I was doing it, there was a lot of paralegals that were becoming independent. So
Okay.
because California wants to control everything, right?
Mhm.
They made a new designation called an LDA. So that way they can get more errors in emission insurance and fees and bonds, right? And I have a picture ID with the state bar. And
Okay.
so I'm what's called an LDA. I'm a legal document assistant. And so I have a license to prepare documents
Oh,
without the supervision of an attorney. And so I have my own practice, which is a document preparation service, which
mm,
thank God has been very successful.
mm,
And so that's an LDA. I have my life and health insurance license. I'm a legacy wealth strategist. My focus is on safe money and protection of assets. So I can proudly look you in the eyes, and I have over 6,000 clients, and those that invested with me, not one has lost one dime in any market risk.
mm.
And so I'm totally in the safe money. And it's not a conversation that a lot of people know about because we're not taught about money. Everybody
Right.
thinks you got to risk your money to make money. That's the hype that everybody's sold.
Right.
So around year 25 of my 32, I got the tap on the shoulder. You need to write a book, because what I was doing was so unique. And I wrote a #1 best-selling book called Ready for PREtirement: 3 Secrets for Safe Money and a Fabulous Future. So that what I did was I basically saw when people came into my office, there were 3 things that they missed, no matter how great their portfolio or their real estate or investments were,
Mhm,
was protection of assets from catastrophic illness,
mhm,
long-term care.
mhm.
Before pandemic, it was 7 out of 10 of us ended up in a nursing home after 65. But
Right.
that number is different now with the pandemic because it goes to lower ages with what's going on. So
Oh,
that's really important. The second thing was the right paperwork. People end up losing their assets in probate, conservatorship, and then risk. Most people, if they want to pay attention, have all their money in the Wall Street casino, their 401ks, their IRAs, and most people don't, a lot of people don't even want to look at it like the last quarter. Oh, you just lost 25%. Like, I don't even want to look. It's amazing how much, because money is energy, right? How much behavioral health is wrapped around it. And I literally discovered that, back around year 25 was, I'm spending more time coaching people on their mindset than, the applications, because there's so much fear around money. And I wanted to dissolve that and give everybody all the information so everyone can be empowered. You don't have to come from a certain zip code to get all the information. And
yes.
what I found was it's basically set up that way. And so what happens is most people end up losing their money before they pass away in a
Mm,
nursing home, in the stock market, and in probate.
mm, mm. With that said, I know most people, once you have to be put into a nursing home. I think, I'm 49. I've already experienced my mother having to do this for her mother, and I have several friends where it's like you have to get all of the assets out of their name in order for them to afford a the nursing home and get Medicare. How does that
Medicaid.
change? Or yeah, how
Well,
does that
it's
change?
very complicated. Yeah.
Okay, it's too complicated to discuss
No,
here.
no, no, no. I
Oh,
can make
okay,
it real simple.
okay,
Because see, Medicaid, it's called Medi-Cal in California, but Medicaid is basically got to be broke. So they have thresholds. So the
yeah,
threshold in California, if you're married, it's like 125, that you're allowed to keep. If you're single, it's like, $1,200.
Yeah.
So they make you spend down, but here's the trick. They have a 5-year look back period. So it's actually, I don't know if it's a felony. It's not a felony, but there is an actual, charge that if you do that you'll be disqualified.
Oh, that's actually a bad thing. I didn't know that.
It's a bad thing.
I didn't know that was it.
They look back.
That.
So in 5 years.
I just know several people. I just know everyone's doing that. Like, why are they doing that?
Well, if you don't have good advice, you're going to do the wrong thing. And if these guys pay attention, they're not all paying attention, but I would not gamble my estate on the state not paying attention, especially if they hire, more of these people. But anyway, the you know what I mean? The point is that, that kind of planning is very complicated, and really, the legal way of doing it is you have to get an irrevocable trust, and you take all the assets out of your social security number. And that's a mess, because now you have no control over it. I mean, you could be sick and go to a nursing home and come back out. And now you have no access over your money. And maybe you've got a sibling that's handling it, or a grumpy kid that doesn't give it to you. And I've seen that a lot.
Yes, I do know. Actually, we did have a challenge in our own family with my grandmother. There was a lot of fight among siblings. So
it's so sad. Yeah. And what's what I teach people how to avoid. I had one in my family. I had the nightmare of my business too.
Yeah. Right.
But, and it's so emotional because you love your family. You guys are going to fight over stupid money over, grandma.
So my question is this, Kris, if, so that wouldn't be an issue if you had an irrevocable trust, if you had enough money, because my comprehension of what happens once you get 70 years old, really, this is like a very fuzzy thing for me. I don't know if it is for most of us. I believe it's fuzzy for most of us, where it's like the only thing that you is what you saw the generation before you go through. And that's all you have to go after.
Exactly.
Okay, you get this. You see how I had bad advice, like, or
I know.
bad, you take everything out of their name.
Right.
So, because my grandparents actually had annuities and stocks, and they had a property that they had paid in full that was worth about $500,000, and so they had to, in order for them to go in there. But if they were, if anyone or myself, let's say myself, okay, it's later. I'm doing this pre-retirement. And you're setting up an irrevocable trust. I'm buying multifamily real estate that's going into, let's say an IUL. That's going into an IUL, and that quarterly return is going into the IUL. And we're beating inflation. We're compounding our money, and that all is being controlled by this trust. Now, if everything went well, I should be able to pay for my retirement until I'm 150.
You missed something. You missed something there. Okay. Because now is the time for you to take the designer way to go. You do not want to go to a nursing home. You want to stay in your own home. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you a little family story. I was blessed. My daddy was a genius. He went to Caltech. Einstein was one of his teachers.
What?
So he was brilliant. Seriously. He was born in 1919. Wow. And so he did very well. And he had multi-millions. Wow. And when my mommy got cancer, she came up to me and showed me the bill and said, honey, and she was crying. And I go, what is it, Mom? And it was a bill for Stanford Hospital for 5 days of chemo for $90,000. She had chemo 5 days a month every year. Do the math. $1 million is not a lot of money if you think you're going to self-insure. Thank God my parents had it. One day my dad said, honey, you're going to inherit $1 million. And I said, Daddy, I just want you. A few years later said, honey, you might get something. They went through millions of dollars. You don't want to do that kind of planning. That did not work. It was very sad. It was happy that they had it. Thank God they had it, but that wasn't the best way to plan. The best way to plan that you can plan is one. And it's not necessarily that you have an irrevocable trust. That is not what I would recommend either. Here's the next step in here. Right now, what I would suggest is inside of the index, the IULs that I use have catastrophic illness protection. So if you set your IUL up the way that it should be, then not only are you going to get tax-free income for life, but if you get to the ages of the 90s and the 80s, 90s, and 100s, and you need care, you need someone to cook or shop or do all those things for you, you can take 2 to 4% of the death benefit for care. That way you manage your own care in your home with your own foods, your own smells, right? Your own family. And that's what the top 1% do. That's the way everybody should be empowered to do it. And the IUL is such a cool thing because people that don't have a lot of money can create cash. I had one kid, he put $500 in a month. And when he retired, he was set to get 80 to 100,000 tax-free for life, which included long-term care, which
per year,
cash.
per year for life.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And these, I'm talking about the #1 company in the country.
Yeah.
But the point was that it built cash. So during his lifetime, he could borrow from the cash, buy some real estate, pay it back, and then you can customize your retirement. So when you see how these things say, you want me to show you a plan, I ask your age, your health, your wealth, and then show you the plan online, share the screen. And you can customize this so you could start off at a certain amount and then raise it as you get older and customize hey, I'm going to shift at 50. Right? I'm gonna have enough income now I can use my business to give back or create another business or whatever you want to do. So it allows you to customize your business, create cash, create tax-free income, and tax-free long-term care. That's the way to do it.
That's amazing. So we have a question here on Instagram. And I think that we missed a question. We missed giving a definition.
Okay.
So because could you define what a trust is?
Okay. A revocable living trust is a legal entity that's created to own, manage your estate. Because it has the language inside of it, it completely avoids probate. What's probate? Probate's a courts. What do courts take? Attorneys. What do attorneys take? Right? I can hear the audience. Money. Right? And depending on what state, 5 to 25%. The cool thing about a trust is it lets you give your estate, your hard-earned life, right, to your family directly with no middlemen. You don't need me. You don't need courts. You don't need attorneys. And it goes directly from you to them. And it's really quite beautiful.
So this young man said he's a first-time home buyer and he wanted to know what he could do with his house. I believe, let's see, he basically said, as a new owner, where could a first-time home buyers go to create a trust? I believe he was asking.
Okay.
So if you could answer that would be great. And provide your contact information.
I will.
I know you provide
Thank you. I
Yes.
really appreciate that.
Yes.
And I work all over the country with real estate agents too. I do living trust workshops because everybody you're working with needs a trust. So you can connect with me at meetwithkrismiller.com. It's KRIS Miller.com. That'll put you on my calendar. You can just call our office at 951-926-4158, or you can email me at Kris, Kris, at healthymoneyhappylife.com, And I'll
Healthy
literally,
Money, happylife.com.
that's it. You got it. And I got a great video too I can send to people on what is a living trust? How do they work? It's only like 15, 20 minutes. So it's a really cool video. And then you have the education, and literally, we make the full, I'm gonna give you a price, okay?
Yes,
I don't
please. That
change,
would be great.
I
Please.
don't, I'm not one of those people that say, well, look at her. She's got millions of dollars. I'm going to raise my price. That's what a lot of offices do. But our price as of this time for revocable living trust, a power of attorney for financial, a power of attorney for healthcare, a pour over will, a living will, and one deed is drum roll, $1,200.
Wow.
It's a giveaway. And the
Wow.
only thing we ask you is to tell your friends so we can pass on a good thing. Hey, I could make a lot more money, but it's not just about
Listen,
money.
I haven't heard of a trust being $1,200. It's
know.
always been 5,000 and more. So yeah,
I know, I
No,
should raise my
I
price.
think I did see this hole in the wall attorney once that was like 3,500. So
Yeah.
um,
Right. Well, I know
so,
everybody
yeah,
tells me
so
you should raise it, but it's about doing the right thing.
it's about serving your community, and this is what I
Amen.
do. It's about serving.
That's right.
Even finance, it's about serving. All of us in
Right.
insurance, you have to love. People think, oh, you love money. No, it's if you work your buns off.
Right. Yeah.
And we all work, whether you're self-employed or employed, we
That's
all
right.
work our buns off.
That's right.
In order to figure out, I know myself, I'm always trying to figure out, okay, marketing, advertising, conferences, buying property. I work way more than 40 hours a day.
I hear
A
you.
week. I mean, it actually probably is a day.
I know. I'm working harder now than I did.
Right. And so, and then you earn money as a result of what you do. And that earned money needs to be protected from taxes, from catastrophes, from your children,
Right.
from enemies, and actually someone said something the other day, from creditors and predators.
Right. And that's why I found out at 58, I was so mad about the IUL. And I'll just be straight up with you. I did it at age 64.
Okay.
But I'm in fabulous health. I'm vegan. I work out, I've been this way since I was 9 years old. So not everybody's like that. So you want to do it now when you're younger, because I don't have, I'm going to take income at 72. So I only got a small window where you got 20, 30, 40 years of tax deferral. And guess what? When the money, when the account goes up, if it goes up 2%, you make 2%. If it goes down 2%, nothing happens. There's a floor on your money. So not only do you get the interest rates that are through the roof of what they do, because you don't get a 1099. So you're getting all the growth on your money without paying taxes. Right. When the money comes out, then you're not paying any taxes on the money when it comes out.
Right.
Plus, if something happens to you, it's got the death benefit. It's building cash if you need to, want to invest in some real estate. And it has long-term care in it. It has everything you need. The one that I work with, that I design for people, in every state, I'll customize it for each state. I don't even want to know the commission. I'm not a fee-based broker. I don't even want to know what the commission is. I just have my case designer say, I have a female in New Jersey or wherever, right? And she's got this and got that. And he shops. I'm a free agent. I'm not stuck with, I have to write for this company for my commission. Right. And that's how I get paid, as a commission. Right. But here's the thing. If we fill out an application for an IUL and maybe you can't get it, I would rather fill out the application and know that I did the best thing for you, rather than, oh man, it's so much work. Right. Because it is. I have a question, and we'll leave it, and we'll tie it up with this, because I know you've got a hard stop.
And so last question, I don't see the audience asking anything.
Really?
Let's see. Yep. We've got an audience, but we don't have any questions. If anyone has any questions, please ask away because we're going to tie this up. Okay, so the how does the IUL tie in to the picture? Because we switched from trusts and we started talking about IULs. You and I know what we're talking about, but I don't know how they tie together.
Okay. So you're out there and you're doing all these great real estate investments and you're making all this money, and where are you going to put it? Most people get a broker and they put it in the stock market. And right now, you know, what a lot of the guys are saying that study this, another 25-30% is expected as they raise interest rates to squeeze everything down. Well, and taxes are going up and inflation. All of those things are going to make the value of the dollar smaller. And so you want to put a good portion of your money in a safe place. So an index universal life is what they call investable life insurance. It's a hybrid. It's different. It's more advanced than whole life. It's like a high end. And then they've created it inside of those policies or indexes. So the insurance company, that one of the companies I use is like 154 years old. So they've been around through a few depressions. They're investing in 20, 30-year options. They're not in this little short window we have. So they make, you know, a lot of money, and they can, depending on which index you're in, that they can make really great interest rates. And that money gets added to your account with no market loss. Now, how does that fit in with your trust? Well, with this policy, you could have your trust going to your family. You could literally set up your IUL to go to different beneficiaries, because insurance policies avoid probate because they have beneficiaries on them. And then a smart person will have an alternate beneficiary. So if you're leaving it to your kids and something happens to your kids, then it goes to the grandkids. And you put all of that inside as on the beneficiary on the IUL. But if you can, now it's health driven. So say maybe you don't have good health. Not everybody has great health. My other favorite thing where I have all of my retirement in equity index annuities. Back in 2008, I made money. While everybody was losing money, I made 2 to 4%. I had one
shorted the market. You knew about that big short, didn't you?
Well, I just felt like, this thing is going down, and I feel that again. And so, but I'm not worried because I have a floor on my money. I never lose my principal. These annuities right now are paying anywhere from 10 to 15%. And it's tax deferred. So the growth that you get is compounding. You're not paying the money out in taxes. So
I just want to make sure I'm following you. So you did switch vehicles, right? You're no longer talking about the IUL. Now you're talking about an annuity.
I switched because I talked about IUL. Good call.
Okay.
But I wanted to include the people that didn't have health. Because the IUL is, you have to be underwritten. That's why the application process is bigger. And that's why I said it's worth it for me to fill the application out to see if you can get it. Even if you had cancer, you can potentially get it, depending on how far the cancer was away. So, but not everybody has good health. So I wanted to give some.
So you can, because you can do a lump sum annuity if you, I'm very familiar with that. You can do a lump sum annuity if you, sold a house or whatever, you could buy an annuity with those funds.
There's 2 kinds. There's income and there's growth. So back when I first started, and this is, I'm showing you what I own. I don't sell anything that I don't own, period. I'm not in the stock market, period. I have annuities and IUL. So I have some annuities that are accumulation that make the big interest rates that after 59.5, I can take out 10%. I also have annuities that pay me income. so that when I set mine up like, hey, I'm going to set one up at 62, 65, 67. I was going to take income at those ages. When I got to 62, it was like, I don't need income. I feel great. So I push it forward, which means I'm going to get more income later, like you should do with your Social Security. That's another conversation. But, right, seriously, there's a trick there too. If you wait till you're 70, you get 30% more. Social Security is a big annuity. Hello, it's a big annuity at 8% simple.
So is it true that you don't get Social Security if you have money?
If you're working after your full retirement age, there's a window where they can.
No, but I mean,
tax
we're
you.
doing all of this wealth planning.
Yeah.
So if you've got money coming in from your annuity and from your insurance, and you've set your retirement planning up, is it true you do not now receive any Social Security, or you receive Social Security no matter what?
You get Social Security, but it can be docked, meaning they can tax Social Security $1 per $3 if you're working at the wrong age.
Now, I'm not talking about working. You're not working.
You're
not working.
I got it. You put into Social Security, and whether you have millions of dollars or you don't have, a lot of money, you put into that account, and they're supposed to pay you back.
I guess there's different types of Social Security then, because I'm always hearing I can't make more than $100.
Disability, or people that have SSI, different kinds of disorder, or they're on Medicaid.
Right.
You're only allowed a certain amount of money. If you go above that money, then they dock you or cancel you. That's
not applicable when it is your money that you put into the Social Security fund and you get to withdraw at 67. Thank you so much, Kris. You have no idea how helpful this is. I mean, I'm getting some of my questions answered. Does anybody else have any questions, guys? Okay, let's see. Is there any more questions here?
I am always here for you.
All right. Well, you've got Kris's information. If you missed it, Kris provided her information. I'm going to have her do it one more time, and then we're going to tie this out. We have to go, but this has been a blessing. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, it is just so refreshing to bring this information to the public, because it's not normal. It's not.
It's not normal. Exactly.
It's not. There's people, and one of the things that drives me nuts is you can hear from so many different people and get a different story from 500 people. And there's so many people on TikTok now that are talking about things, and I personally believe that they don't know what they're talking about.
You got to be aware. That's absolutely, there's a lot of bots. There's a lot of bad guys out there, and who's paying them. And it's just like, the news is just so much bad things going around, so beware. Yes, definitely. And who's paying them, right? Who's the one paying them?
I'm hearing that you are very aware. You've dropped a couple of things that
I'm doing it on purpose. Some people have an ear to hear, and but I'm not, I'll speak freely about my faith. I'll speak freely about the times we're in. I think people, need to be aware, and, like, you can't say this. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it anyway. I think we're in that.
You're so strategic. You should be a politician, but I heard everything. I heard it. I know your point of view. I know we're on the same page.
You got it. We are on the same page. We are.
So